Hello everyone. My name is Melissa Faust. I'm from stampwithmelissa.com and I am an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator located in Minnesota. That's what we like to say in the winter. Except not at this point in the winter. At this point in the winter, it can go. Anyway, that's not what we're here to talk about today. So I am doing a super fun video today. And it is in my A to Z crafting series. I'm going to try to cover a whole bunch of different topics from A to Z about crafting. So today we're going to talk about, I have to grab one, blending brushes. So these are super fun, a super fun way to color your cardstock, your images. So we're going to talk all about that today. I am going to show you a few different techniques that you can do with blending brushes, and I'm also going to make a card with you that shows one of my absolute favorite techniques with that, okay? All right, so I'm going to go ahead and hook my camera up, and I'm going to show you my desktop, and we're going to get started with today's video. Okay, so first thing first, we have to know, where do we even find these beautiful blending brushes? They are sturdy, they are so easy to use. Honestly, they're very soft. I love to feel them. My niece and nephew actually know that when they come in here, they're allowed to touch the ones that are white, and I'm going to show you that in a second. But first, let's go to the annual and the mini catalog. So this over here on the left is the current annual catalog. On page 129, you can find the blending brushes right here. You can see that super fun image with the heart there and those two blending brushes. Now, a pack of blending brushes comes with 3, and they are so super beautiful, right? Some people like to have a brush for every color that Stampin' Up! Has. I don't. I'm going to show you my blending brushes in a minute. I don't do that. I honestly use like one blending brush for like the reds, one for the oranges, etc. So I'll show you those in a minute. But I wanted to just point this out. I'll also have a link in the description box below this video that takes you to a blog post. On that blog post, I will have a picture of today's card, and I will also have the links so you can check out these blending brushes if you want to get your hands on them, okay? But yeah, so right here is the blending brushes in the current annual catalog. Here's the front cover of that one. So this is the 2022 to 2023 annual catalog. Okay, and then also in the mini catalog, the current mini catalog, which is this guy, I call it the purple catalog. This is January through April 2023. They released the mini or the small blending brushes. So those also come in a pack of 3. You can see they're so itty bitty compared to the bigger ones, and these are just great for little detailed areas there. So this is what it looks like when it comes packaged new, and there's the size comparison there from the big one to the little one, okay? All right, so we are, and I wanted to mention this too before I go any further. Stampin' Up! Also came out with blending brush storage, so this is super awesome. It says it's on page 67. Let's take a look at it with actual blending brushes in it, shall we? Oops, there we go. Look at that. So you can see here, it looks like the slots are all the same size, but you can put the mini ones and the big ones in there, which is super duper awesome, okay? All right, so those are the catalogs. Let me show you real quick what I actually store my blending brushes in. Now, before Stampin' Up! Came out with their storage, I actually already purchased this. So let me slide these back in. This is from Stampin' Storage. It comes in the wood mount. They might offer it in white now, but I actually painted mine white. And this is the one I got. This is like a desktop, sitter thing. They do have some that lay down in drawers if you've got drawer space and whatever, but you can kind of see here, it's a little bit hard to, because they all go fallen. But you can see here kind of my colors. So I've got, like I said, I've got this one for red. I've got one for orange, yellow, green. This is like darker blues. It kind of looks purple, but it's not. That's for darker blues. That's why I keep them in rainbow order too. Lighter blues, teals, purples, pinks, grays, browns. This is like, I just found I needed this because for like your pale papayas and your petal pinks and blushing brides and, those very light orangey pinkish colors, this was just, I just got nervous I was going to get like stuff on it. And then I've got 3 extras here too, in case, situations arise. Also, I had to complete my row because you know me, I can't have empty slots in the row. I got to complete them. So this is what I store mine in. Like I said, this is from Stampin' Storage. They are actually based out of Minnesota, which is where I'm from. I've been to their store once, which is super fun. And yeah, but I will have this and their other blending brush storage linked in my blog post too. That's linked in this video. So let me show you well, actually, let's go ahead. We're going to start with the card and then I'll show you some other techniques. Okay, so let's get started with that card. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started with the card. I have picked out 3 ink pad colors. So you can just grab colors, whatever you want to use, okay? For the card I'm doing today, I'm going to use Starry Sky, Gorgeous Grape, and then I don't know yet if I'm going to use Basic Gray. We're going to see if this is dark enough. We do currently also have Rich Razzleberry and Blackberry Bliss, but I didn't love those colors, so I kind of like Gorgeous Grape. So we're going to see how that, you know, what happens there. But let me scoot these out of the way, and I'm going to show you the emboss resist technique with blending brushes. Okay, so let me grab my supplies here. And so here's what we're going to do. So I have already gone ahead and mounted this big background stamp. Now you can do this with lots of stamps. I think it's really pretty with floral stamps. You know, play around with it, see what you like, okay? So what I'm going to do, I should say though, this is the Daisy Garden stamp. It's just one big background stamp. It's beautiful. So I am going to use this. Now this one would be a great one to color, but I'm not going to color it. You're going to see, okay? Okay. All right, so I am just using my embossing buddy to just, you know, wipe that. I already kind of positioned everything where I wanted it. We're just going to go ahead and heat emboss this like normal, okay? So we're going to just ink up our stamp with Versamark. And I don't need to stamp the very bottom of it because it's not going to get stamped onto our basic white piece here. Okay, so we've got that all inked up. And we are going to go ahead and flip this over. Okay, I'm using the Stamparatus for this just because I think it's way easier to deal with this giant stamp here. But you can just, if you have a smaller stamp, you can just mount it on a regular block, okay? All right, so I'm just kind of peeking, and I think we're okay. But we'll just go back in real quick. The nice thing about the Stamparatus is you can do that. I think that there's some detail missing in this flower right here, but I can't really super tell, so we're going to go with it. Okay, we're going to move that. I'll grab the top here because I did not put the Versamark, and I know you probably can't see, you know, where that Versamark is, but let me move that out of the way, and then we're going to grab, I'm going to use Basic White embossing powder, and carefully, oh, now you can see it. Yeah, see, some of those details did not come through when I stamped it. That's okay. We'll just try to cover those with the sentiment. Okay. Or, you know, the recipient might not even notice. But yeah, okay, so we've got that. All right, so I'm going to go ahead, close up my embossing powder here, and I'm going to start my heat tool and get this heat embossed. Okay, so I know that I embossed the white powder onto the basic white cardstock, so it's a little bit hard to see, but that's okay, all right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull in my messy scrap paper. You know how I love it. And we are going to go ahead and just blend. So I'm going to teach you how to blend. And also you're going to learn this technique at the same time, so it's going to be awesome. So this is my blue brush. I'm just going to, you know, wipe it off a little bit, make sure it's like semi-clean. It does not need to be the cleanest thing in the world, okay, your blending brush before you use it. I just want to make sure that I don't have like a whole bunch of Night of Navy stuck in here that I'm going to just go ahead and dip into my Starry Sky then, okay? And I didn't see anything come off. So I am just grabbing this and I am just swirling it around in my ink pad. Now, when you do the blending brushes, it's all about your pressure, okay? So if you go very light, your color, or, you know, light-handed, your color is going to be very light. If you go very dark, your color is going to be very dark. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to, did you see how I started off a little bit? Because it's kind of got that harsh line, right? Like, it's kind of harsh looking right now, but you can see I don't want that on my finished project, right? So you just kind of go off and then like off onto your grid paper, swoop it on, and just keep going over wherever you want, all right? And you can kind of see those daisies, I almost said sunflowers, you can see those daisies popping through there. Now, I'm doing kind of a nighttime scene in this card, so I want it to be darker. You know, well, I kind of want it to be darker maybe all around the edges. I know that's probably not super accurate, but you know, that's what I want. So, so I am going to, every time I add this starry sky on, I'm going to start at the bottom and work my way up, okay? Now you might think, ooh, that looks a little muddled. Don't worry, we're gonna get that beautiful white color back, okay? All right, so we're gonna add that. And it doesn't need to be straight line across because we want this to look natural, right? And we're envisioning that the sun maybe like just went down, and so you can still kind of see that beautiful blue sky. And I want some more color over here. Okay, so that's starry sky. So I'll go ahead and close up this ink pad. I'm not going to put it away or clean this yet. I will show you how to clean them, but I'm not going to do that yet in case I need more, okay? Then I've got my purple blending brush, and I'm going to grab Gorgeous Grape. And, oh, again, we're going to check it. I don't see anything coming off, so I think we're good. Mix it around. And I hope you loved that little jingle. And you know what? Your fingers are probably going to get a little inky, so I might actually grab a second piece of messy scrap paper. Can you believe it? I have more than one. And I might actually just set it over the top so that I can put my fingers on that instead, okay? So again, I just kind of start off and work my way on. And I am absolutely coming down into that starry sky, trying to blend those colors together. Okay, we don't want it to look super stark where you can tell the difference between the two, blended colors, right? That is not what we want. So we are going to want to drag that down. Oh, this is going to be a beautiful card. I'm going to make this into a sympathy card because I hate making sympathy cards, but we always seem to need them, right? Not always. Fortunately, I do not always need a sympathy card, but whenever I need a sympathy card, I don't usually have one on hand. And I thought that this would be just a beautiful sympathy card. So, all right. So we've got that Gorgeous Grape. You can keep playing with it to get it the color you want, right? But again, I'm just going to go ahead and close this up and stick that down. Look at how beautiful that is so far, right? Now, the basic gray comes in that I kind of want the edges to just be a little bit darker here. So I am going to use some basic gray. Let me scoot these. Sorry if they go off camera, but I'm just going to scoot those a little. And I am going to use some basic gray on my corners here. So what I'm going to do is just ink up a little. I didn't need to swirl around a ton, right? Because you can see that like circle, that like starkness is what would show up on your card if you just went straight down onto your card, okay? And we're just going to kind of go like on the edges a little, especially in those corners, okay? And just, can you see that? Like, how beautiful is that? Right? Look at that. Okay. Let's go over here. Oh, beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful. And the thing is about me too, you guys, I am not very messy. I don't like to be super messy. So this is kind of nice. That's why I'm using the scrap paper instead of just holding it with my fingers. But this is kind of nice, these blending brushes, because you don't have to get too messy, and they give you such a pretty picture. They're so beautiful. So, okay, so we've got that. We've got one more little corner here to do. It's okay if it moves a little because we're not trying to be perfect. Look at that scrap paper too. Isn't that just amazing when the paper moves, like how stark that is? Look at that difference. Okay, so we've got our colors all blended on. Now what I'm going to go do is I'm actually going to go and grab, look, did we even get any on our scrap paper? It doesn't look like it. I'm going to go grab a paper towel and I will be right back. Okay, so with the paper towel here, I'm just going to kind of wad it up a little, right? Oh, I just don't want to touch my fingers right down into that ink. So let me grab this again. And let me flip this. It's probably like not a big deal. Look, that barely came off of my finger, but I feel like if I press down, my fingerprints will get in there. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to run this paper towel over the spots where I heat embossed. Look at that. Can you see that right away? Look at that purple comes off of there and it's just so much more vibrant, right? So I'm going to go ahead and do this to my whole sheet here. Okay, look at that. How pretty is this? right? Other than my little goofs where I didn't fully, you know, adhere correctly. But that was user error. How beautiful is that? Isn't that blending just so much fun? So I said I was just going to show you this one technique, but I have this sample card right here, and I did this one a few years ago, and I had these cute little like water droplets in here, and I thought, you know, at first when I had this in my head, I was like, oh no, I don't want to do those water droplets, but I think they'd be really pretty, so I am going to show you how to do that as well. And what I'm just going to do here is these are my water painters. I've already got water in them, okay? And what I'm going to do is you just uncap it. Oh, see, water already splashed out. It's already on the card here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to go a little bit lighter than that, but I'm just going to flick the tip from the water painter onto the card. Okay. And you're going to see the magic happen literally right before your eyes here. Okay, let me put these away and we'll watch it kind of, you know, become beautiful here. And it is just such a cool effect because then it actually gives you these little dried things. And actually look here on this card too that I did a while ago. Actually, I think this was my first live video ever that I ever did on Facebook or YouTube. So, but you can see I did that embossed resist with this too, but I used this silver powder. Look at how fun that is. Okay, so anyway, you can see it's kind of drying here. I do want to let it dry. Well, you know, I want it to dry before I tack it down to anything. So I'm going to go ahead and just kind of work on some other elements of the card while it's drying. And so what I've got here, I'm just keeping this card very simple. I've got a thick basic white card base. I've got another basic white layer because I think this just looks beautiful once it's layered on there. Just stunning. And then I've got this piece, and I've got my sympathy stamp that is from the Inspired Thoughts stamp set. And I think that that's beautiful. And I was going to use this color ink, which I do think is pretty, but I don't know that this is the right color ink now. I think Flirty Flamingo might look better. Just because it's a little bit lighter, and Melon Mambo is a beautiful color, but it's just a little bit dark. So I'm just going to ink this up. And again, I probably wouldn't have shown you this whole process, but because I need this to dry, here we are. Okay, so we've got that. Then I'm just going to trim this down a little with my trimmer. Okay, and I do kind of want it to be layered onto something, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm actually going to take this extra piece of basic white, add my seal. You're getting a little card tutorial in today too. All right, add my seal to the back here. Layer this onto this basic white piece, giving it the margin on those two sides that I want. Okay, and then we're going to just trim this down. Instead of having to measure, we're going to just kind of trim it where I think it should be. Okay. Beautiful. Look at that. Then we've got a little layer here. Okay, so this, I believe, is almost dry. It's a little wet still, but do you see how cool that looks with those water droplets added? How absolutely beautiful. Now, I wouldn't have globbed one down here. That was on accident when I was uncapping it. I would have kept it more up here, but it's so pretty, and you can see the different effect it has to the purple versus the blue, right? Just beautiful. And I love how these flowers just pop. I think it's just stunning, okay? All right, so let me pull this back in, and I'm going to flip this over. We will add some seal to the back. Okay. Get this layered onto this basic white piece, and it's just stunning. Absolutely stunning when it's got that little layer on there. Okay. And then we'll go ahead and add some seal to the back of this. Layer this onto our card front. You'll notice I keep flipping it over to press it down. I just don't want to get like ink all over myself here. So, okay, we'll fold and burnish. And I want to kind of distract from my little boo-boos here. I know I've got that one there too, but this one looks a little bit worse to me, I think. So I think I'm going to put that like right here. Okay, so we're just going to add some dimensionals to that. And pop that onto our card. And then we've got a beautiful card. And these would be easy to mass produce, right? Because you could heat emboss a bunch of the daisies. Then you could go ahead and go in with your Starry Sky. You could go in with your Gorgeous Grape. Go in with your Basic Gray on all of them, you know, assembly line it. And you'd have a beautiful, beautiful card. So this is the card that features both the emboss resist technique and the beautiful, I don't know, we'll call them water splotches. I don't know if they have a technical name or not, but that's what we'll call them for today, okay? So super, super beautiful. Let me show you a few other cards that I used blending brushes on, including that little astronaut one that I just showed you. Yeah, so let me show you those next. Okay, so again, here's the card we just made with the water splotch technique and the emboss resist technique. I just think that's so stunning, so beautiful. I kind of wish I had done this in a purple now. Anyway, that's for later. But I hope you guys enjoyed watching this. So let's show you some other card ideas, and then I am going to show you how to clean your blending brushes as well, okay? So here's that astronaut one again that I showed you. And again, this uses both emboss resist and the water splotch technique. This one, I believe I used Night of Navy and Basic Gray. You can see I tried to make some parts of it darker than the whole thing. And then when I added those water splotches, it made it purple, which is really pretty. So there's just another sample. Okay, and then we've got this one. Now this one is just really like basic blending, right? You can see here that this was in the early stages of when I was learning. So when I was talking on this one about blending those two colors together, you can kind of see what I mean here, right here, right? It's a little bit splotchy because I've got that green going into the sky. I wanted it to look like, you know, grass and sky. So the green and the blue together could have been mixed together a little bit better. Over here, I think I did a nice job, but I covered it with the turtle. But yeah, you can just see kind of that basic. I also actually did do emboss resist here as well with the sentiment. I thought that was pretty. So you can see that basic white there as well. Or the white embossing powder. So there's another sample. Okay, so here is one that uses a mask. So back here on the blue background, you can see that beautiful little floral image. That was actually I used a blending brush to add that onto my card with a mask. So let me show you kind of what that looks like, okay? So let me grab these guys, move them out of the way, and I'll keep this in the corner. And I am just going to briefly show you how to use a mask, okay? So I am going to use my Stamparatus because, honestly, it makes this so much easier. So I've got just a little sample piece of basic white here that I'm going to scoot up into the corner. And then this is one of our masks. Now, when we sell masks, we sell a pack of them. So you can see this one, this pack in particular has several different patterns. I will have a link on that blog post as well to all of our current ones, okay? And then you just kind of put the mask in place. I'm going to use my magnet here just to hold the mask in place, and actually maybe I'll use two. Now this is why I like using the Stamparatus. It just makes it easier, okay? And then this is that basic gray, or the blending brush I used with basic gray, so we're just going to use that again, and then I'm going to show you how to clean this, okay? So we're going to grab some ink, dab off, and you just go right over your mask onto your cardstock, okay? To make a really beautiful piece. Now again, this is where I was talking about earlier. You can see I'm kind of using my pointer finger here to guide it, right? But if I want the color to be darker, I'm gonna go like heavy. Like you can see my finger there is like right over the top. I'm pushing down a little bit heavier, okay? So let me do lighter again over here so you can see that difference. Okay, so let's take a look. We're not making this one perfect. So let's just take a look at what we've got here. Oh, there we go. And look at that. How beautiful is that? So over here on the sides, you can see that lighter hand right there. In the middle, you can see the darker. I might have to save this and use it on something later. But that's what the mask does, right? It's just like a stencil. It is so fun and easy to use, okay? All right, let me show you then. So here's that with the bigger, this was a different stencil. And let me just show you how to clean these. Now you don't really have to go too, hard with cleaning them, but I actually just use my chamois and I just go ahead and just wipe it on the chamois a little bit, okay? This is gonna be dyed. It's not, no matter how much you clean it, you're not gonna get this white again. So you can just kind of test it. See, I tested it on some scrap paper. Nothing came off. It's clean in my books, okay? So that's how you clean your blending brushes. And with all of that, I still got ink on my fingers. That is just something you're going to have to expect will happen when you are working with blending brushes. So you'll want to make sure, you wipe your hands off. So I'm going to be careful. I'm not going to touch my white card with my inky fingers. But yeah, this is the card we made. I really hope you guys enjoyed today's video. I hope you learned something new, whether you've been using blending brushes for a long time. If you've never used them before, I hope that they're, less daunting now. They are really easy to use. You just have to try it first, right? So buy a pack, maybe get the regular size and a mini, and just go to town, try it out, see what you like, okay? So again, here's today's card. I will have a link down in the description box of this video. That will take you to my blog post all about blending brushes. And on that blog post, I will have a picture of that card as well as some other fun things for you there, including links to my Stampin' Up store where you can get a hold of blending brushes and those beautiful masks yourself too, okay? All right, thank you guys so much for watching today's video. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and make sure before I forget, I always forget to say this, make sure to give this video a big thumbs up if you learned something, if you liked it, and subscribe to my YouTube channel if you haven't already. But yeah, have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you next time. Bye for now.